Thank you for joining me today. We're going to start in a child's pose. So, starting on your knees, toes tucked back, release your hips back onto or just maybe towards those heels. Let your forehead come forward and down to rest. So, folding down to the mat. If your forehead doesn't comfortably reach, it feels like too much pressure on your neck, your head, you can stack fists underneath your forehead. Otherwise, if your forehead is comfortably resting on the mat, go ahead and extend your arms out long. And we're just going to pause and breathe here. Make any adjustments you need to make this comfortable for you. And if it's comfortable breathing in and out through just your nose, go ahead and start to do so. If your sinuses are feeling a bit stuffy, a bit plugged, breathe in and out through your mouth if you need to. I am simply here to be your guide through this practice. Notice how you're feeling physically, emotionally. Are you feeling restless, agitated, or is it easy to settle and be still? Perhaps deepening the breath here. Just a few more breaths. Just letting your mind kind of settle on where you are at this moment. And then on your next inhale, we're going to really extend out through those fingertips. So if hands are stacked underneath your forehead, go ahead and extend those arms out. Extend through the fingertips. Take a moment to glance up. Make sure your hands are shoulder distance apart. Spread your fingers wide. Start to press into your palms, your knuckles, your fingertips. Start to activate the muscles of the arms. And really stretching those fingertips out as far as they'll go, and at the same time pressing your hips back a little bit deeper towards the back of the mat or into those heels. And then we're just going to start with a little side body stretch. So we're going to walk the hands over towards that left side. Feel that stretch down through just the right side of the body. For more intensity, you can place the right hand on top of the back of the left hand. Push a little more deeply back through that right hip. Breathing deep here. So we're creating a little bit more space, a little bit more room to breathe through just that right side. Enjoying the stretch. If you're not, you can always opt out, modify. There should never be pain or discomfort in our practice. If we are finding that, we need to modify or back out. And then slowly on your next inhale, we can start to bring those hands back to center. Space, a little more room to breathe through this side. Stretching those intercostal muscles, those muscles between the ribs. One more deep breath in. And then slowly shift that back to the midline, back to center, arms extended out. And then from here, we'll go ahead and shift our way up to all fours to our tabletop. Bringing those hands now back underneath the shoulders. Knees are right above those hips. Hips are right above the knees. And then if your wrists feel great, spread the fingers wide, just like we did in our child's pose. Press into the palms, the knuckles, the fingertips. If your wrists do not feel great, take fists instead for wrists. That'll support them, elongate them there. Take that crease out. And then we will start to flow through cat and cow pose. So as you inhale, let your navel dip down. You're going to let the back arch just as much as feels good to your back. And as you exhale, Press into your hands, into your knees, and round through your back. Maybe your chin tucks towards your chest. And then we'll continue this flow as you inhale. Let the navel dip down. Deep breath in, expand through your torso. Let your belly expand, let your chest expand. Exhale, round, expel that breath. And if you want, even at the end of the exhale, pull your navel in towards your spine. Push out just a little bit more air. And then immediately back into that inhale. This should feel good. So if it doesn't, again, make any adjustments. If your knees do not feel good being on all fours, you can always fold the end of your mat or place a folded blanket underneath your knees, or maybe a towel. Maybe one more flow here. One more breath in and back out. And then from here, we're going to sink back to that child's pose, just long enough to get our placement for downward facing dog. So slide those hands back out, arms extending long, hands back out, shoulder distance apart. Press into those palms, knuckles, fingertips, and then go ahead and tuck the toes, float those knees up from the mat. From here, we'll take a moment, maybe ease into those lower legs. So maybe bicycle, pedal out the feet, bending one knee, pressing opposite heel into the mat, and alternating. Maybe you kind of want to shift your weight side to side, shift the weight of the hips side to side a few times. Whatever allows you to settle and become more comfortable here. And if at any point it's just not comfortable for your wrists, you can always release back down to a child's pose for a moment. Shake out the wrists or roll them around. Okay. And then from here, we're going to see if three-legged down dog feels like a good option. So from downward facing dog, we're going to inhale that right leg up and back behind you towards the ceiling, as high up as it will go comfortably, while keeping the hips in alignment. So if the right hip floats up and opens to that right side, lower it back down. From here, we're going to point and flex those toes a few times. And if this is uncomfortable in your three-legged dog, you can come down to a tabletop pose and just float that leg back instead. Go ahead and circle the foot around to the left. Circle the foot around to the right. And then we'll go ahead and take a deep breath. Extend back as far as you can through those toes. And then as you exhale, we're going to go ahead and step that foot forward. See if we can step it up as close to the hands as we can possibly go. But that's okay. We're going to flow forward from here. So if you were in tabletop, you're coming to downward dog, flowing that leg forward. And then we'll go ahead and step the left up alongside the right. Coming into our first forward fold. So coming into this, start with a nice bend in the knees. Feet underneath the hips. You might have such a big bend in the knees that the ribs rest on top of the thighs, or maybe your back and your hamstrings feel great. Maybe you start to straighten out the legs. Maybe it's just a micro bend in the knees. And we'll take a few moments here again to ease into this. So maybe you sway it side to side. Maybe you kind of pedal out the feet a little bit here. Excellent. And then from here, we're going to put at least a little bend in those knees. Inhale, sweep the arms out to your sides and extend them all the way up, standing up, reaching up towards the sky or the ceiling. We're going to pause here in this tall mountain. I want you to really reach through those fingertips. Reach as though you're reaching through the crown of your head. Deep breath here. As you exhale, sweep the hands back down alongside the hips. And then we'll rotate the palms back up to the outsides of the hips. Inhale, sweep those arms back up. And this time, we're going to exhale, sweep it all the way back down to that forward fold. From forward fold, we're going to inhale, flatten out the spine. So maybe come about halfway high, parallel your torso to the earth, to the mat. Exhale, fold it back down, maybe a little deeper. And then we're going to step that left foot back. So we're stepping through our high lunge on that right side. And then if it feels okay, we're actually going to pause in this high lunge. So really step that left foot far back so that your left knee is lifted high from the mat. But if this is not within your range, you can always lower that down to a low lunge instead. If you feel comfortable supporting the body without the hands, we're going to inhale, sweep and reach the arms up towards the sky. Hands shoulder distance apart. Reach up through those fingertips, but then let the shoulders broaden and slide down away from your ears. Breathing here. Maybe one more deep breath in, and then as you exhale, bring the hands back down alongside the foot. That right foot, we're going to step that back to downward facing dog. And then we will just continue on the other side. So we'll inhale, left leg up and back to that 3-legged down dog. Point and flex through that foot a few times. Again, you can drop down to the right knee if that feels better, if that's within your range. And we'll circle the foot around to the left. And circle the foot around to the right. Deep breath in, extend back through those toes. If you're on the knee, go ahead and come up to that 3-legged dog, and then exhale. We'll step that foot as far forward as we can possibly go here. Through the high lunge, and then go ahead and step the right foot up to meet the left. Forward fold. Taking maybe just one more full breath and forward fold. And then put that bit of bend in the knees. Inhale, sweep the arms out and all the way up, standing it up, reaching it up towards the sky. Exhale, let hands come back down alongside the hips, still standing tall. On your next inhale, turn palms out. Inhale, reach it back up, extending up. Exhale, folding it forward, back into that forward fold. As you inhale, you'll go ahead and flatten out the back, straighten the spine. Exhale, folding it back forward. This time we'll go ahead and step that right foot back, finding that high lunge on that left side. And then if it feels okay, feels good, we're going to inhale, reach those arms up, sweep the torso up, keeping that high lunge in the legs. Pausing there for a breath or two. And then slowly on an exhale, we'll release those hands back down, step or walk that back to downward facing dog. From here, we're going to again inhale, sweep, reach that up to our 3-legged dog. Reach back through those toes. As you exhale, step that foot forward. This time, making our way into that high lunge. So if the foot gets stuck back down the mat as it comes forward, we're going to take a moment to scooch that up until the heel is underneath the knee. From here, we'll inhale, sweep, reach the arms up towards the sky. And then we're going to bring the hands back behind us. So as you exhale, sweep the hands back behind, interlace those fingers behind your low back. And then from here, if it's comfortable, maybe even squeeze the palms into each other. And then maybe extend those arms straight back. Maybe they reach down the back of that thigh, opening up through the chest. So a big chest opener here, stretching through the fronts of the shoulders. Make sure you're not feeling a big arch in the low back. If so, we're going to kind of tuck that tailbone under, support that low back. You can stay where you're at any point. You can release the hands back to the mat if that feels better for you. Or we can take humble warrior here, sort of a modified humble warrior as we're in a lunge. We can dip that right shoulder down towards that right knee. Now extending arms, maybe back up at an angle, or maybe they come all the way up, reaching knuckles towards the sky. On the next inhale, we'll straighten the spine back up, head back up towards the sky. Exhale, unlace those fingertips, place them back down alongside that foot. And then we're going to go ahead and actually step that right foot back to downward facing dog. Inhale, sweep and reach left leg up and back towards the ceiling. Reach to those toes. Exhale, step that foot forward. Take a moment to adjust so that that heel is underneath the knee and our high lunge on the left side. On your next inhale, we'll sweep and reach the arms up towards the sky, crown of head up towards the sky. And then if you want, we will sweep the hands back behind you, interlace those fingers. Again, maybe even press the palms into each other. Opening up through the fronts of the shoulders, through the chest. Again, make sure tailbone slightly tucked, support that low back. We're not bringing an arch into the low back here. Deep breath in, and then if you would like, bowing that left shoulder down to hover over that left knee. Now arms extending up at an angle, or maybe all the way up towards the sky or the ceiling. Maybe one more full breath here. And then with an inhale, let that raise your head back up towards the sky. Exhale, unlace those hands, place them back alongside that foot. We'll step or walk that back to downward facing dog. From here, taking a moment, maybe pedal out those feet one more time. And then we're going to go ahead and release back down to child's pose. Release the knees, untuck the toes, release those hips back to the heels. From here, we're going to keep those arms extended out. We're going to inhale, come forward to our modified plank pose. So knees down, toes down, hands underneath the shoulder, spreading those fingers wide, or again, maybe making a fist for your wrist. And then slowly with control, lowering all the way down to the mat, down to your belly. Once you're down, release your cheek to the mat, sweep your hands back to rest alongside your hips. Let the heels drop open wide if that's comfortable. Make any adjustments you need to be comfortable lying here on your belly on the mat. If you cannot find any comfort here, if your back is bothering you, press it back to child's pose and remain there for these next few moments. Otherwise, we're going to move into locust pose. So we're going to tuck the tailbone, connect your pelvis, your pubic bone down to the mat. This is going to make sure that we're supporting the low back. And then if it feels okay, inhale, start to lift your head, maybe your chest, your shoulders. Continue to lift up through your arms, your legs, everything floating up so you are connected to the earth through your pelvis here. Deep breaths here. For more intensity, you're going to squeeze your hands a little bit closer behind your back, whether that's pinkies or if you have your thumbs pointing towards each other. Maybe bring those big toes a little bit closer, squeezing those inner thighs. One more deep breath in. Exhale, lowering it all the way down, opposite cheek down to the mat. Pausing, resting, breathing here. Let your shoulders melt forward into the floor, into the earth. And then from here, we're going to move into cobra slowly. So we're going to slide those hands back underneath the shoulders, spread your fingers wide, hug the elbows in towards the sides of your ribs. So your elbows are pointing back towards the back of the mat. We're going to now bring the big toes all the way into touch. So no longer heels dropping wide. Squeeze the heels in towards each other. Press down through the tops of the feet, and again, tuck that tailbone, press your pelvis, your pubic bone down into the mat. And then from here, we'll inhale, start to just use the strength of your abdominal, strength of your back to peel your head up away from the mat, maybe your chest or shoulders here. Even pick up the palms for a moment so that you can feel. You're not using the strength of the arms, you're just using that strength of your torso. And then from there, we'll press the palms down. And if you would like, turn that from a baby cobra into a full king cobra. Maybe press into the hands. But as you do so, the goal is not to straighten out the arms, lock out the elbows. We're going to keep some bend in the elbows, keep elbows pointing back towards the back of the mat, and shrug the shoulders down away from your ears. So if they've come up, they're squeezing up towards your jaw, towards your ears, slide them down towards the tailbone, down towards the earth. Good. One more deep breath in. Maybe you lift just a little higher. Always keeping that pelvis connected. Exhale, slowly lower whichever cheek feels most comfortable. Let that come back down to rest. Hands back alongside the hips. If you need to roll out the wrists or anything, feel free to. Let the heels drop open wide again. Relax the lower body. Just a few breaths here. And then we'll place those hands back underneath the shoulders. Press yourself back up through modified plank and all the way back to child's pose. We're going to pause and rest here. We're going to let that compression of the spine just kind of ease back out of the back here. There's a gentle roundedness to our child's pose. Maybe hands and arms stretch out in front of us, maybe fists stack underneath the forehead, or maybe hands come back to rest alongside the feet, palms rolling up. Maybe one more full breath here. And then we are going to make our way up to seated. So roll yourself up, drop your hips to one side, extend your legs out in front of you. From here, we're going to see if inclined plank feels like a good option. So if your wrists are bothering you, you're going to take fists. This is a lot of weight onto your wrists. Otherwise, palms down to the mat, fingers pointing in the same direction as your toes. So now towards what would now be the bottom of your mat where your feet are. Palms spreading wide. Press into those palms, knuckles, fingertips. So much that we start to lift the hips up away from the mat. So straight legs, straight from your heels all the way up through the crown of your head. One straight line here. Make any adjustments you need to. Hands should be right underneath the backs of the shoulders. Breathing deep here. So every muscle in the body working to straighten here. If your feet are open to it, we're going to stretch those toes, try to reach those down towards the earth. They might not quite make it there. That is okay. One more deep breath in, maybe push those hips just a little bit higher. Exhale, slowly lower the backs of the hips back down to the mat. Take the weight off the wrists. Feel free to shake those out, roll those around a few times. And then on an inhale, we'll sweep and reach those arms all the way up towards the sky. Deep breath in. And then as you exhale, we're going to fold it forward over those legs. So start hinging from the hips, reaching the arms out, maybe to or towards those toes. And then we'll ease into this forward fold. So as you inhale, just like we did in our standing forward fold, we'll flatten the back, maybe come about halfway up away from your legs, or maybe you come all the way back up, head to the sky. Exhale, fold it back down. You can let the back round slightly. On the inhales, I want you to lift and focus on extending out through the fingertips, extending through the crown of your head. So getting long through the torso. As you exhale, just kind of relaxing the weight of the torso down. Let gravity do that work. One more time. Inhale, extend. Exhale, fold. If you're feeling comfortable, we're going to pause and just relax here. If your arms are relaxing down to the mat, let the shoulders relax forward. Let the forearms, the hands just rest onto the fronts of the legs or onto the mat. Let your forehead hang, or if there's a lot of flexibility in your back and your hamstrings, maybe your forehead's even resting on your shins. And not the goal, just meeting yourself where you're at this moment is our goal. Maybe one more full breath here. And then as you inhale, we'll slowly straighten the spine all the way back up. And then from here, I'm going to have you make your way onto your back. So make your way down and start by hugging your knees into your chest. Maybe rocking that side to side a few times. And then from here, we're going to come into a spinal twist. So keep the knees hugging up towards your chest, but bring the arms away. If it's comfortable, extend arms straight out from the shoulders into a T, or bend at the elbows, bringing those into cactus arms. And then we're going to rock the knees over to the right side. And then if it's comfortable, your chin is going to roll over towards your left shoulder. Go ahead and close the eyes here. Feel how the palms relax, the fingers slightly curl in. And just pause and breathe here. If it's too much of a twist, we can always slide something underneath that right leg to bring a little lift to the side. That could be just the straight right arm sliding underneath the thigh and the outer edge of the calf. Or it could be a blanket or a block here. If you're looking for a deeper twist, you're going to wrap the left knee around the right. So now the inner left knee is coming down towards the earth. So make those adjustments again to make this feel the best. And if the left shoulder is floating up away from the mat, that is okay. That might just mean that you are tight through your pectoral muscles. You might feel that stretch through your underarm. Just see if you can continue to relax, let gravity soften across that shoulder, across that left side of your chest, melting it down towards the earth. One more full breath here. And then slowly with your next inhale, we will unwind the spine, bring the chin, bring your knees back up. Feel free to hug that in, rock that around. When you're ready, knees stay tucked up towards your chest. Arms extend out either into those cactus arms or straight out into that T. And then roll those knees over to that left side. Once they come over, maybe it takes a moment to settle and rest. Maybe it takes a few adjustments, modifications, maybe something under that left leg. If it feels good, let your chin roll open towards your right shoulder. And then just start working on letting go. Eyes closed, letting gravity do the work. Exhales, softening, fingers curl in. Maybe the hips are tight. Maybe it takes a little wiggle to relax the weight of the legs to the side. Perhaps you're feeling that stretch up across that right side of your chest. Every exhale is presenting an opportunity to soften, to let go a little bit more. Maybe 2 more full breaths here. And then slowly on an inhale, we will unwind the spine, bring your chin, bring your knees back up. Again, feel free to hug that in, rock that side to side. We're going to take just a brief happy baby pose. So separate those knees out wide, arms down between the knees, between the legs, taking hold of wherever is comfortable. So if it's within your reach to grab the bottoms of the feet or to wrap your 2 pointer fingers around your big toes, our big toe lock. Or maybe you just hold on to the ankles and then flex the feet, turn them up towards the sky, and then squeeze the knees down alongside the torso. From there, maybe you start to rock that side to side, pressing our tailbone down into the earth if it has lifted and floated up away. So our entire spine coming down. Maybe one more time to rock it side to side. Eventually coming back to neutral, we're just going to come to a very brief butterfly pose. So when you're ready, let the feet come down to the mat, knees bent. Let the knees open wide into our butterfly wings. Soles of feet slide into touch. And then hands, arms, wherever they're most comfortable. So that might be automatically moving onto your hips, your abdomen. Maybe it's out a few inches from your torso. Maybe it's relaxing out, bent above your head. And again, here we start to let gravity do the work. We are preparing our body for final relaxation, for Shavasana. Let the backs of your shoulders melt down. If they are floating up, they don't want to quite rest down to the mat, then you're going to kind of tuck the shoulder blades just a little bit closer together, closer to your spine, and see how that brings the backs of the shoulders down to rest on the mat. But if for some reason that is just absolutely not comfortable for you, maybe you're really tight across those pectoral muscles, then you can let arms rest however they need to, shoulders rest however is best. On your next inhale, we'll bring those knees back up. Feel free to hug those knees into the chest one more time. And then we will come down for final relaxation. So I encourage you, if your back is open to lying flat here, to let your heels come out all the way to the corners of the mat. Straight legs, let feet drop open wide. If that's just not a good option for your back, you can always place a rolled blanket behind the backs of the knees so there's a slight bend in the knees. Or if you need to, you can keep knees really bent. Separate the feet out wide to the edges of the mat and let your knees rest in against one another. From here, if you have an eye pillow or anything you'd like to place over your eyes, feel free to. Or if you want to cover up with a blanket, we do cool down as we relax. And then hands and arms come out at least a few inches from the sides of your hips, palms rolling up towards the sky. And I'll walk our way through our body. I relax my feet and ankles. My feet and ankles are relaxed. My feet and ankles are completely relaxed. I relax my shins, calves, and knees. My shins, calves, and knees are completely relaxed. I relax my thighs and hamstrings. My thighs and hamstrings are completely relaxed. I relax my hips and pelvis. My hips and pelvis are completely relaxed. I relax my hands and wrists. My hands and wrists are relaxed. My hands and wrists are completely relaxed. I relax my forearms, elbows, and upper arms. My forearms, elbows, and upper arms are completely relaxed. I relax my upper back, middle back, and lower back. My upper, middle, and lower back are completely relaxed. I relax my upper back. I relax my abdomen and ribs. My abdomen and ribs are relaxed. My abdomen and ribs are completely relaxed. I relax my chest and shoulders. My chest and shoulders are relaxed. My chest and shoulders are completely relaxed. I relax my neck, face, and jaw. My neck, face, and jaw are relaxed. My neck, face, and jaw are completely relaxed. I allow my entire body to fully relax. My entire body is completely relaxed. My entire body is fully and completely relaxed. Slowly start to bring your awareness back into your body, starting by noticing that sensation of breath that travels in and just releases back out. Observing that breath a few moments, and then let your awareness fall maybe into the center of your palms or the space between your fingers. Let little sensations, little movements begin here. Maybe it starts with a wiggle, a stretch, and then let those movements grow outward, however feels best. Maybe more wiggling, more stretching. Maybe eventually your body wants to come into a full body pencil stretch, or maybe your low back is just begging for you to hug those knees into the chest one more time. Take your time, and eventually when that feels complete, you can rock yourself over to your right side, pausing and resting there for a few moments, a few breaths. Right arm can support the right side of the head, support the neck. Take as long as you need on your side, but just eventually, when that feels complete, you can start to bring yourself back up to whatever seated position feels most comfortable at this moment. Once you've found that seated position, let your hands, your arms come down to rest, whether that's on the legs or down in your lap. And take these last few moments to again check in, see now how you're feeling at this moment, mentally, physically. Observe this sense of contentment, this sense of peace that you always have access to. If you start to come out of this as you go throughout the rest of your day, your evening, you can come back and connect to your breath and settle the body back to this place. Go ahead and connect those palms together at the center of your chest, sealing our practice together. Thank you so much for joining me today. It is always my honor to teach you. Namaste.